Politics Spotlight. The presidential aspirant of People Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, says his agenda is built around a developed strategy that will revamp Nigeria's sickening and change the politics to reform the private sector. The administration is proposing would move to ease up and control the economy in many sectors, provide efficient infrastructure to reduce production costs, and to provide protection to prioritize enterprises. Atiku also said he would also put in place policies and measures to optimize the growth potential of the real sector, including agriculture, manufacturing, and MSMEs. The 5-point agenda that he is proposing was contained in the policy document he released recently, and it's detailed how the administration will run over the first 5 years and invest heavily in the much needed infrastructure, which will result in growth across several sectors. However, Nigerians would want to ask, how does Atiku Abubakar intend to do it? Nigerians would want to ask how Atiku Abubakar intend to bring this to actualize this in the midst of the distorted economy, where governance is being run on budget deficit above permissive threshold. Nigerians would want to ask, in the midst of turbulent season in the People Democratic Party, how he intends to do that. Nigerians would want to ask how he will be able to contain the challenges in the PDP before eventually seeing if indeed he can woo Nigerians to be able to vote for him. Well, to do this, I have with me two gentlemen. I have an economist, Mr. Ogun Rimbokun Bamidele, who is joining this program through Zoom. And of course, I have in the studio with me Honorable Folu Ibirinde, an APT stalwart from Ekiti State. And I'm additional online Waju. The conversation begins in a moment. Welcome to the program again. This is Politics Spotlight, and we're looking at what we're doing. We're dissecting the 5-point agenda of People Democratic Party presidential candidate in person of Atiku Abubakar, who presented this in a few weeks ago. And of course, joining me are two gentlemen. I have joining through Zoom is Mr. Ogunribokun Bamidele. Mr. Ogunribokun, you're welcome to the program. Mr. Ogunribokun is an economist. Yes, I'm going to put this across to you. We are going to start from you. The PDP presidential candidate in person of Atiku Abubakar, I'm going to quote him right, and that is where we are going to start this conversation. He said, and I quote him, he said, within the first 100 days in office, I will create an economic stimulus fund with an initial investment capacity of approximately $10,000 to prioritize support to MSMEs across all the economic sector.
Thank you very much.
What can you make of this? What can you make of this?
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. I've also seen the policy document that was shared, and I think what you are actually putting is actually on the page 15, where it talks about the first 100 days. What he actually said is to give an economic stimulus of $10 billion. The first question I asked myself is, where are you going to get such amount of money from? Is the money going to come from the reserve? Is it going to be from the foreign reserve? And where are we going to get that money? So when we talk about money, what we need to know is that economics is different from politics. And when it comes to about politics, you can say a lot of things. But when it comes to economics, we are looking at impact. $10 billion, according to what he said there. And the question I asked is, where would that fund come from? And again, if such fund is going to be put into the economy, and we also look at other indices that we're going to have, the inflationary rate, where is the money going to? what will the money be targeted on? Is it something for the infrastructure? Is it money that is going to be looked into which sector of the economy? Is it education? Is it manufacturing? Is it power? Because if you are telling us that you're going to inject $10 billion,
let me interject you there. He talked about agriculture, manufacturing, and the MSMEs. He said,
okay,
yes.
Okay, I'm going to really be broad about it because the paper that was published was actually a 21-page paper.
Right.
And for everything that we are going to look at, which he started talking about what it's going to bring to the economy, did not even start until when you get to page 15. Talking about the agriculture, the documents did not give details of how the agriculture. Are we still going to be looking at raw material? Are we just going to be producing cocoa and send it abroad, raw material? And then we also talk about the SME. The question here is that the SME that you want to drive, you're already condemning the agency that will do it. So how are you going to look at this? How is the policy going to be unfolded? Because it's very easy, like what we also say, talk is cheap, but in economies we want the reality. Because you're talking about investing in agriculture, manufacturing. The question is in the manufacturing sector. Which of the manufacturing sector are we going to look at? I checked through all those documents. There was nothing talking about technology. Rather, at the latter part of the document, which is on page 20, he was telling us about what he has done in the past to bring technology. Are you saying that you're not going to look at that in the future? Because where the world is going now is technology. In agriculture, we are no more using the cook tools. So how are you going to do that? What is the processing you're going to bring into agriculture? Right. Is it going to be agriculture only producing? And even looking further, all these we are talking about, SME will thrive when some things are thriving in the country. For example, power. In the document, he also talked about power. He said Nigeria will not be in darkness. The question is that what are you going to do? Because one of the underlying factors, I don't want to preempt, maybe something we'll still talk in future in this discussion, is you are talking about power, and you said you are going to give the power to the private sector, which average those that are economists in Nigeria will know that the power privatization that we had during the regime, which was part of them, did not really give us the result we are having now. And you are talking about making sure that all the change is going to the private sector. So the question is that that document is not detailed enough.
So are you saying that this 5-point agenda has a number of flaws?
What I want to say is that there's no document that is flaw proof. But for this, there are many holes that we are seeing. There are many holes that are not clear. And when we are saying they are not clear, telling us that because there are many vague issues.
All right.
Even the document was also speaking to us that there's a lot of somersault policies are not direct. But even the policy in this document is not clear.
All right. Okay.
About how, so that's the question we need to.
All right. I'm going to come back to you. Let's bring the conversation in the studio. Honorable, you are from the opposition party. By and large, you think creating an economic stimulus and an unstable energy source, an economy where governance is being run on budget deficits above permissible threshold, do you think such can thrive? Don't you think that such will bring the masses, will bring them to more, or will increase the poverty rate of the masses?
Yes, thank you very much. I equally appreciate my other colleague, Mr. Ogunboku. As an economist, yes, he has dissected the documents PDP is banding around with a view to deceiving Nigerians to have a second look at PDP after 16 years. I read through the documents myself. From the first point to the second, the third, even up to the last point. his thoughts revolves around what he called private sector. He kept talking about private sector, private sector. That, of course, was the major undoing of the government he was part of, the Olusegun Obasanjo Atiku government, where all our national assets under his watch, as the chairman of the economic team, yes, the privatization program of that government was chaired by him, to the extent that all national assets of Nigeria were sold as scraps to themselves under this same private sector issue that he wants Nigeria to vote him into power on. That pillar upon which his economic stimulus program is hinged on is 40 on so many grants, from point one to the last point. Everything revolves around private sector. You have privatized, you have sold all national assets, including electricity, where $16 billion was invested into, only to plunge Nigeria into darkness. Like people and every person on the street in Nigeria will tell us that the $16 billion was actually used to procure darkness in Nigeria. I am not too sure whether Nigeria, all Nigerians are suffering from that kind of a sheep and etc. to the extent that they are forgotten what becomes of Nigeria in the last 16 years. To me, yes, private sector involvement in governance is very key, is important. That was what led to Asiwaju Tinubu to bring in the American electricity giant in 2020, 2000, with a view to injecting Aaron into PPP, private partnership in generating electricity. That government frustrated that effort. The problem Aaron would have been the missing link that Nigeria really needs in solving electricity problem, but that government did not allow that to survive. So talking about private sector this time around, I think is
I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to put this across to you.
Yes.
When we talk about governance,
yes,
we talk about continuity.
Yes.
We talk about protocol.
Yes.
Why do Atiku need to create another economic stimulus package? Of course, the current administration has an economic package. Where is the place of continuity and protocol in governance? Does that mean that your party has no sellable achievement that he can work with?
Yeah, of course, you do not expect an opposition figure like Atiku to see anything good in what this current administration has done in Nigeria. Laying a critical foundation for economy that has been bastardized over the years is not a tea party. And I'm very sure in years to come, Nigeria will still have to celebrate the modest achievement of President Buhari in this regard. I do not expect Atiku to see anything good in this government. I am not saying that Buhari's government has been able to solve all the problems, but you will all agree with me that laying foundation for superstructure is the most critical aspect of any building or any construction work. He has been able to lay some foundation. Of course, there are some gaps, there are some areas where this present government has faltered, and that is why Asiwaju is coming in now to leverage on those areas where this government...
But we've not seen him talking about it. In fact, the president says that those who are supposed to market him are not marketing him.
You do not expect Asiwaju to market this government. It's not in this government. He's a stalwart, he's a leader of the party, but it's not in this government. You do not expect him to come out. of course, he will be usurping the functions of those functionaries of this present government. But at the appropriate time, he's going to address Nigeria about what he's going to do to, especially in those areas where, especially in the economic aspect of this government, that is not too that is not too forward-looking. Right. And we won't deceive ourselves by coming on here to say that everything is rosy with this government. But I can assure you, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an economist. He's a financial expert, and he has done that in so many areas of our national life, both within and outside here. He's going to bring his wealth of experience to leverage on those areas where this government has failed or has not done, to the satisfaction of Nigerians. It's going to improve on that, and of course, it's also going to continue in those areas where the government has done well.
The economist.
Yes.
Mr. Ogunro Ibokun, talking about governance, talking about protocol, talking about continuity. As an economist, don't you think it is worthwhile to do a continuation of an ongoing system or program rather than coming again to institute another one, considering the amount of effort, amount of resources that will be committed into such a process?
Okay. What I would have to say is this: continuity is good, is right.
Mr. Ogunibokun,
can you hear me?
That?
Yes, please. I'm all right. Can you hear me now, please?
All right. It seems it's not hearing me. Let me come back to you. Let me come back in while we are trying to bring him on board again. Do you think this current government or the PDP, what do you think your government has to continue, or what has they done to continue the reign of power?
Hello?
Come 2023.
Yes.
All right, but Mr. Can you make response?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you quickly make response to that question? Continuity, protocol, and governance. Considering the amount of effort that will be put in, what is your take on that?
Okay, my take is that continuity is good. As an economist, the policy by the current government should be continued. However, we also have this in economics that talks about review. If what is being done by the current government is not something that could be continued, it can be reviewed. And that is why we have this chain of reaction, which we call in economics, has to do with the chain of reaction of things, is that there's a need for feedback. Okay. If the policy now is not working, it can be reviewed. But the problem in Nigeria is that we always do total change. You can't just remove a total change. But there will also be some arguments by some economists that you can have a total replacement of a policy. Because if it's found out that the current policy is not doing well, you can have a total replacement. But it's something that you have to know that there are always going to be there's going to be what called shock back on any replacement. Not that you just say you don't want it, you just remove. There should be continuity. And again, whoever is coming in the new administration should know that government is asset and liability. You are inheriting both the asset and the liability. So you don't just pick the asset and throw the liability away. So you must be ready to know that the policy is what. And again, policy should not be credited to individuals. Policy is for the nation.
Okay.
If it is good, run with it. If it is something that needs to be reviewed, and if it needs to be changed, we have a total change.
All right. Whoever, let me put this across to you again, Mr. Ogunibokun. Whoever is coming in, whoever, either APC, PDP, Labour Party, or the likes, what will make them better contender to the current administration?
Thank you very much. Now, when we look at better contender moving forward, we are looking at Nigeria here. Those things that we need in Nigeria, number one, the foremost thing we need in Nigeria now is security. If the security is not put in place, there will never be anybody who wants to put any risk. However, note very well, you ask yourself, people are still investing, companies are still investing in Afghanistan. Yes, there's war, but people are still going there. In Nigeria, what we need to know is that security will always be an issue to every country, but the security must be that one that will still make business to still thrive. In US, we still have borders and all the threat going, but we need to make sure that those securities are not affecting the core production line in Nigeria. Number two, we also have to look at electricity. If electricity is put in place in Nigeria, when we are talking about GDP, what the PDP has shown to us, the candidate in his profile, to tell us that the GDP in the next 10 years, targeting 2030, is going to be $5,000 per capita. Will be something we can do more if we put electricity in place and even infrastructure. But I am having a bit of feedback from what is in the document policy put up by PDP and the candidate. I have not seen other parties over for him talking about private sector taking in charge. You see what private sector will do. They are profit driven. If profit is driven and government is not coming in, we end up also having government to come and buy those infrastructure back. Like we are having with what's going on with the power sector now. And the government is taking back those structures. But are they going to pay the government for all those liabilities? No. It is you and I tax that will be done. And again, from here, what we are also seeing is talking about creating new jobs. Where are you going to create jobs? We all know that the best way to create jobs in Nigeria now is looking at the tech. Apart from the tech, we also look at agriculture. But those things were not on the document. Apart from the document 21 page, you also have the 5-point document on the Twitter page. We talk about 3 million new jobs. How? 10 million Nigerians out of poverty. He's not the one of sharing handout.
He mentioned agriculture. He will send them to the farm to go and be farming.
You see, farming is not the problem. But what kind of farming are we talking about? Right. I also do a bit of farming at the back of my house. We are talking about farms that will give us higher productivity. We are not talking about farming whereby on the same plot of land, I can get 1,000 tubers of yam. And I'm telling those our parents, even now in farming, we are having issues. The issue in farming is that we are not having people to replace the farmers. Right. The younger ones are not replacing the farmers. So these are the things we need to look at. The government and all the politicians have to make us know that farming is good. Thank you very much.
I'm still going to come back to you. Let's bring the conversation back in. Honorable Folu, let's talk about, we are in the era or in the season of promises. A number of promises are going on, like what the PDP presidential candidates just gave. What can you, as we prepare for 2023, what can you make of campaign promises and the need of the masses?
Yes, I think we should situate every promise made by politicians appropriately, with a view to looking at an individual. What has he done in the past when he has opportunity to be there? You cannot tell, you can't come back. If you come back now to keep telling us we are going to turn Nigeria into Eldorado, the next question that any reasonable Nigerian will ask is that you have opportunity, in the past for 8 years to turn our situation around. What did you do with it? All the gains of all the democratic gains we had were frittered away within those 8 years. Our national assets given to us by our founding fathers, especially the military, who, despite the fact that they were not popular governments, they were able to give us some of those assets who today, if they were still functioning and running, would have made Nigeria to be true giants of Africa in the real sense of it. Those ones were sold off as scraps, and then you took us back into like 50 years backward. Now you are telling us that if given another opportunity, you are going to do better. I think Nigerians are wiser. When politicians come around to make promises, look at what they have what they said before, what have they done? Yes, this, just like Nigeria is a member of the global community, things are generally globally bad, especially from the COVID-19 pandemic era. Right. Economy went down. Okay. But whoever is coming, like Asiwaju is coming on his record, on his previous record. And that's what we are banking on. If Asiwaju tells us that he's going to work on electricity and give us the best form of electricity Nigeria can be proud of and Africa will be proud of, he has done that in Aaron. If he had the opportunity of becoming the president of Nigeria, of course, he will be the one in charge. So there will be nobody, no Kaba in Abuja who will truncate such effort. If that has worked in year 2000, right, by now Nigeria will be competing with nations like Egypt, right, that even have double more than what they need in electricity. Okay. So Nigerians should watch out for politicians that will come with sugar-coated mouth that we're going to do this. What have they done before? Right. They failed us. They will fail us again. Right. But as for the APC and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is like he rightly said recently, that is an ego, and that's why he flies. All right. And it's not a parrot. All right. He talks less. He's going to do
let me take the conversation to Mr. Ogunibokun. Mr. Ogunibokun, as an economist, do you think the 5-point agenda of the People's Democratic Party's candidate, person of Atiku Abubakar, do you think he's going to thrive before the private world? Do you think it is not a desperate move to want Nigerians to vote for him?
To sell off Nigeria again.
Okay, what I would like to say is the discussion will be more robust and interesting to also see the blueprint of other parties, right, so that there's something that we call cross-analysis, and we'll be able to see what APC is going to do, what the Labour Party is going to do, and PDP. But speaking to the document in front of us strictly today, I wish I would have seen the PDP candidates to come out, but strictly talking to this document, for private sector guys, I want us to also underline something, is that they are profit driven. If they know that this is what Atiku is going to bring on the table and they are going to get more profit, I bet you, sir, they will latch on it. They will realize. But the question is, what will be the benefit to Nigerians? Because we have to look at it, the benefit to me. If you give the electricity to one big guy, your friend, like the language we always have, I'm going to sell NNPC to my friends. Who will I sell it to? If you sell it to your friend and your friend is going to make billions, from who? From us.
But if you sell it to your friend and your friend make use of it, do the needful, that is not the problem.
Yes, you have not done anything wrong. Yeah. But what we need to note is that private sectors are not welfare companies.
All right.
They are profit driven, and government is not a profit driven sector. They are to see to the welfare. There are things that are right to Nigerians. Like there are things that are also drawn from the document, talking about the 3 C's: clarity, coherence, and consistency. If there's consistency in Nigerian economic policy, we know now. If there's what we call coherence, not the ones that we are having differences. And like I have in one of the documents, like I said, that there's nothing that is. I was reading through the document, page 13. I think it was on paragraph 2, line 2. You see errors. Those are also things I have to see. If I'm going to sign a contract with you and I can't see errors, then I will have to just go back. You're talking about the infrastructure given to the private sector, okay, and you're also talking about the government having. So where is it going to lie? All right. So my own is that when we talk about private sector, let's see the clear picture of what the private sector will be doing. Okay. Let Nigerians know where we are going. Okay. There's too much vague in policy and promises of politicians. Okay. They tell us bits and terms and what is going to happen. And in my own final say, if I'm going to have my way, is that please let these policies be something that fits to average Nigerians. You talk about greater participation of private sector. Private sector in which area? You are talking about discontinuity of government monopoly in infrastructure. You are talking about refinery, railways, and all the rest. How are you going to make sure that private sector comes in? Hope you are not going to have oligarchy whereby you only have few people. If you are going to tell us that Nigerians are going to have it, how will they, like the one we have in NNPC now, who are the shareholders? We have to look at that. What are all those greater things? Because all what we are seeing here, they are talking about IGR. Okay. Nigeria makes a lot of money if it can block the loophole, and the leakages. Okay. So what are you telling us? How are we going to see that work? Okay. How are you going to put education? We all know what's going on now. Right. How are you going to put education on the platter of gold?
Let me cut you then, and let me cut you then there, and let's talk about the ongoing 6-7 months ASO strike. Do you think such should worry Atiku, considering the striking union? Because you know they are more of course you are in academia, you are more of important tools when it comes to election period, electoral processes. You are an important tool. Do you think that should worry Atiku to want to, of course they had made promises. Do you think it should be a worry, something that will worry him in terms of going all out to promise the ASU, the academic staff, the striking union of giving attention to their demand?
Okay, for me, I will just start with this caption. If you think education is expensive, I want that person to try ignorance, and then you see what it is. Okay. For me, what it has to do with ASU, why I will be a bit careful here is that I'm also, and I will not be able to say things because I can't hold for ASU. But what we all need to know, we all know that it's fighting on everyone. All right. And they say, Mandela said, if you want to destroy any country, destroy the educational sector. And that's what we're having now. What I just need to just tell all the politicians who can use this medium is that let's sit down. It's not something that is not achievable. Discussion is better than us flexing muscles. Let's have a discussion, and the economy can pay for whatever demand. It depends on how we put our priority. Where lies our priority? And if you throw this to education, like what I always say, if you have any problem in any society, throw it to the academicians, and you see that they will be resolved. And that's what I would have to say. They all have to put it on their corner. From all the documents I've seen, even from all the people that are aspirants, I don't see us seeing education. And you can also see, they're looking at education as private sector, making sure we have a lot of private universities and not the rest. But I think we can look inward and see that we can do a greater thing. Thank you.
Okay, let's bring it back to Honorable Folu. Honorable Folu, the ongoing ASU strike. Yeah. Shouldn't that be a worrisome entity to a candidate of the APC?
Yes, it's a serious concern to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's also a serious concern to the current APC government. But we should not overlook the political dimension to this whole imbroglio. That there are some elements within this group that are working to frustrate the APC government going forward to 2023 election. Our government is not unaware of that. For crying out aloud, everybody in government today or in APC in Nigeria, their parents, they are also affected. No government that wants its thoughts will be happy to see this situation going on this way. And I think President Buhari is determined he has given marching order more than 2 occasions.
Yes.
That this crisis should be resolved. In the last one was that it will be resolved within 2 weeks.
Yes. But in the course of this week,
yes.
In the course of these 2 weeks, the government took them to court.
No, because the demand of ASU itself is against the current economic reality of the nation. The leadership of this union should also, because they are part of this country.
All right.
If you are making a demand that will crash every other aspect of government, then it shows that the interest of the nation is not being worked into all these crises. We are all Nigerians, and that is where we are appealing to the leadership of this union. You cannot get everything at once. If government can meet up with 60-70% of your demand, please go back to work.
All right.
This crisis is age-long. It's more than 40 years. It's not a creation of this current government.
All right.
So I can assure you that if they call off the strike and accept the little offer the government has given to them,
right,
negotiation will continue.
Okay.
Every crisis will still come back to the negotiation table.
Right.
Even if government decides to meet and abandon other critical aspects of our nation,
right,
and meet up with their demand,
okay,
that is not a guarantee.
Okay.
That in another 1 year they won't come up with others.
All right.
So
all right,
government is a continuum. By the grace of God, after 2023 election, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be sworn in as the president. Yeah. He will sit down with them, right, and even there are some other incentives that they are not even asking for now.
All right.
That I can assure them, I can assure the nation, no, Nigeria will work again, and our universities
as we begin to coast home. Let me put it across to Mr. Ogunrinboku. Considering the level of preparation towards 2023 general election, and of course, let's talk about the major contender, the major top contenders. Mr. Ogunrinboku, what do you think can they do or can be put in the economic blueprint that will revamp the economy of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. To start with, like, I would like you to know, I am not a member of ASU and OASU.
Yes.
But
let's talk about that as an economist.
Yeah. Okay, yes, as an economist. So what we need to do is that the economy can cater for all what we need. So for all the contenders, for all the participants, I would say the candidates of all the parties, what we need to look at is number one, the first thing we need in Nigeria now is security. Just security, right? Economic will follow. Once the economy flows, people will be engaged. Once people are engaged and they are working, every other thing will come up. Then we need to start looking at technology. Technology, then you say technology is going to take us to greater heights. But technology is not going to fly in. And again, when I say technology, I also want us to underline, we need to start harnessing what we call local technology. We should not just be importing all the technology. And who's going to give us all this local technology? It's still the ivory tower, which are actually unfortunately under lock and key. So we also have to make sure that we look at those things that Nigeria have what we call comparative advantage. There are things that people will come to this country to get, rather than go to other countries. Then we also have to look at something in Nigeria, which I always tell everybody, is that the unity of the nation is number one. If you all of ourselves, there's something that we have in Southwest that you can't get in Southeast. There's what we have in Southeast you can't get in Southwest. So the country is dynamic, and we have the beauty of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much thank you so much for your contribution. Now, in 1 minute, Honorable, what is your closing remark for the masses whom have the beginning to receive promises promises of politicians?
Yes, my advice to Nigerians generally, for Nigeria to assume her rightful place in Committee of Nations as the giant of Africa, just like my colleague online has said, electricity must be addressed, technology must be deployed, and then, of course, to address our security, and then, of course, to even address our economy. Today, Lagos State is the third largest economy in Africa. As you deploy technology to Lagos. That's why the IGR is an Ogun State who also leverage on the proximity to Lagos. Is the second highest IGR in Nigeria today. So, Achiwaju, we must start looking at that candidate who has the capacity, who has the commitment for the nation. He's the only person who do not have any industry outside Nigeria. All his investments are here. He believes in Nigeria. It's not an aspirant who after 4 years, after losing election, will run back to his base in Dubai, or the one they call the container economy, whose stock in trade is to keep importing and importing. Asiwaju believes in domestication of our economy, production, bringing back all our industry, and you can only do that when electricity is working. Our textile industry, who is the highest employer of labor in the industry, our industry will come back, and then of course our youth will be gainfully employed, and then the nation will move on again.
All right, let me thank you all our viewers today for joining this episode of Politics Spotlight, and I want to thank my guest, the economist, Mr. Ogunriboko Bamidele, and of course our studio guest, Honorable Folu Ibiride, an APC stalwart from Ekiti State.
Thank you very much.
I also want to remind you that all our viewers, you have to watch out for politicians who are coming to you with sugar-coated mouth. Until when I meet you again on next episode, God bless you. Thank you, sir. Mr.